First of all, I would like to express how grateful we are in the Kingdom of Denmark, including Greenland, for all the support we have received from all over Europe. It has been extremely important in this very difficult situation that we have been placed in. And I think that when Europe is not divided, when we stand together, and when we are clear and strong, also in our willingness to stand up for ourselves, then the results will show. So I think we have learned something during the last couple of days and weeks, and now we, of course, want to find a solution. So there is one thing that has something to do with NATO. We have asked NATO to be more present in the Arctic region, and I think everybody in NATO agrees about that, the Arctic states, but also other member states, that we need a permanent presence from NATO in the Arctic region, including around Greenland. And then we will discuss in a more traditional, political, diplomatic way with the US about our bilateral relationship between the Kingdom of Denmark and US. You're asking about red lines. We have them. Of course, I think it's clear for everybody that we are a sovereign state, and we cannot negotiate about that because it's a part of the very basic democratic values. But of course, we can discuss with the US how we can strengthen our common cooperation on security in the Arctic region.
Prime Minister, will Denmark give any territory in Greenland to the United States, even if it's only for military bases?
We have said from the very beginning that a discussion about our status as a sovereign state, it cannot be discussed, it cannot be changed. We are willing to work together with the US, of course, as we have always done, about security. But our red lines that are our democratic rules cannot be discussed.
Can you still trust the US?
Sorry?
Can you still trust the US?
I mean, we have been working very closely with the US for many years, but we have to work together respectfully, without threatening each other. And therefore, I, of course, hope to find a political solution within the framework of democracy and how we cooperate as allies.
Prime Minister, did Trump's bullying win in the end?
Excuse me?
Did Trump's bullying win in the end? And I'm not sure I heard whether you said you were willing to renegotiate the 1951 pact.
We have a defense agreement with the US. We have had it since 1951. We said to the Americans a year ago that we can discuss our agreement on defense, but it has to be in the framework of us as a sovereign state, of course.
You have been involved in saying that you have been part of making a change. Greenland. Can one negotiate to expand it? The Americans have some more options than they do today to operate in Greenland.
May I just generally say that it has been lovely to see the broad European support that the Danish kingdom has received here through the recent period. There have now been a series of talks also with the American president. We continue working on two tracks. There is a NATO track, which is about ensuring a stronger NATO presence in and around Greenland and generally in the Arctic area. And then there is a desire for a deeper conversation between Denmark and Greenland on one side and the USA on the other side. I will not go into details about those conversations to say that we have collaborated on security with the USA for many, many years. Of course, it must take place in a proper and respectful manner, and we are now testing whether it can be done.
Så er det bestemt ikke noget, vi afviser, hverken fra dansk eller fra Grønlands side. Men det er jo vigtigt at sige, at vi har samarbejdet omkring sikkerhed med USA i rigtig, rigtig mange år. Det skal selvfølgelig foregå på en ordentlig og på en respektfuld måde, og det afprøver vi nu, om kan lade sig gøre.
Can you be more specific about what we can offer the Americans that we don't have today? Now you are opening up to the possibility of revising the agreement that is in place.
That's not something I'm opening up for now. I mean, we have actually talked with... when this discussion started with the Americans, there was a very clear commitment from us that we could discuss defense. And that is within the framework of 51 agreements, that we could talk more broadly about security. That is within the framework of NATO. There has been a commitment from the Greenland side that one can talk about investments and minerals. And it is, of course, within the framework that it is Greenland who has control over their subsurface. And in various ways, we have very clearly signaled to the Americans that we can work together. We are already doing that today. We also wish to do more within the frameworks that must necessarily be for such an agreement.
Can the negotiations that are now starting also be about privileged American access to external raw materials, rare earths? Can that become part of the negotiations that are now starting?
Well, excuse me, Nalakasosud has, from the beginning in this discussion, said that they would like to make agreements with the Americans also in the area of raw materials, and that they want more investments in the Greenlandic society. So that has been said a long time ago by Nalakiso 7. I will not go into all the questions now. I believe everyone can see how difficult a situation we have been in for a long time, and now a more traditional political diplomatic track has been agreed upon. And we will go into detail on these various issues.
But what is actually the difference in the framework agreement that was agreed upon yesterday? What is the difference between that and what Denmark has continuously offered to the USA? But what is the difference that made Trump say yes now?
We have, at least from the start, said that we want a continued cooperation with the USA, but it needs to take place in a proper manner. And that we, of course, have, you could call them red lines, you could call them values, you could call them principles. It ends and starts at the same place, namely around our sovereignty. And furthermore, the Greenlanders' right to self-determination. That is what we can discuss based on. We have then told NATO that we believe there should be a stronger NATO presence in the Arctic region. They have listened to it now, and we are then hopefully beginning to actually get it done. Specifically, I believe it serves everyone's interest. We can discuss this for a long time. I don't think we should threaten our allies. Now we must see if we can find an answer to some of the questions that have been raised. We will certainly do what we can from our side. Well, I think that Europe has sent a very clear signal recently, and I am very, very grateful for that. I also think it befits Europe. I think it's clear when Europe is not so divided, when we stand together, and when Europe stands firm on what we obviously need to stand firm on, namely some of the most fundamental values, then we are strong. And that is also true with our internal market. And therefore, when there are threats, we must respond, and Europe has done so. So the signal Europe has sent over the past few weeks is also the signal that should be sent after the meeting tonight.
What do you hope Trump will do in the agreement?
I assume that the agreements in place will be respected, but I certainly pay attention to all the speeches. I notice everything that is said, and I take my precautions regarding everything that is happening during this time. What is happening during this time? I think the past few weeks have shown what Europe is capable of when Europe wants to. It is not Europe that wanted to have a conflict with the USA. I don't think Europe ever will want to. When one of the countries is threatened, and subsequently a number of countries with tariffs and duties, then when Europe says, well, then of course we respond, and then we do what we believe, that is necessary, both to take care of ourselves, but also because if someone does something, then of course we respond accordingly. You can hear that, and it is not because we want to escalate anything or because we want a conflict, but because we are safeguarding the Europeans' interests and Europe's interests. And we have had a tradition of doing this together with the Americans, and I certainly hope that it will also be like that in the future. Thank you.